Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. 4 children are out of their Brooklyn Park home and in protective custody after a police investigation. Officials were called to the home in the 8200 block of Queen Avenue Monday after an 11-year-old girl went missing and was later found. Reporter SONYA GOINS has more on the case.
On Tuesday, crews continued to remove items from inside this Brooklyn Park home. A note on the front door says the home is uninhabitable.
The officer searched the home and determined there was very concerning factors inside the home that was not fit for children to be there.
Police spent hours canvassing this Brooklyn Park neighborhood looking for a missing 11-year-old girl.
Oh my gosh, and there was one of those big trucks out here and everything looking for her.
During their search, they stumbled upon something unexpected at a nearby park.
They located a separate 12-year-old child that was living in a nearby park and had been gone for at least 2 days living in that park. That child was also found to belong to this home and was placed on a hold.
After many hours, there was a break in the case. The 11-year-old girl was found in Bloomington, oddly enough by her neighbor, who literally lives down the street from her in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah, I've seen her.
MARILYN Harris and her husband were at a doctor's appointment when they spotted the girl sitting on a nearby curb.
So she knew us and she knew the Jeep, so that's why she came over. It was just pure happenstance or God's will or something that we happened to be there and someone dropped her off. And we lived on the same street.
Meanwhile, court documents show police have been to this Brooklyn Park home several times before, including back in February when an 8-year-old boy was found dead at the home. The children were placed in protective custody at that time and eventually returned back to the mother.
Police officers have the authority based on their observations at any time of the day to remove children and place them in protective custody and temporarily.
Very quiet, very nice young girl.
We talked with neighbors who live on the street and they say the children would be out playing, but they didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
She seemed like a nice little girl. She really did. She was very polite, very quiet, didn't say anything more.
In Brooklyn Park, SONYA GOINS, CCX News.
The children are in protective custody while Hennepin County Child Protection conducts an investigation. Meanwhile, the mother is in the hospital. No word yet on why she was admitted. As for the death of the 8-year-old boy, Hennepin County officials say the investigation is ongoing. The story out of Brooklyn Park might sound shocking, but nonprofits who work with homeless youth say it's a story they deal with all too often.
For our community as a whole, what we really want to see people understand is that when you hear a story about a kid that's running, more often than not, the first thing I would think is there something going on inside that home that's causing that child to feel safer out on the street than they do at home? And that's the tragedy, and that's what we see. The majority of the young people that we serve are running from a bad situation.
The nonprofit Hope for Youth says on any given night there are about 6,000 youth homeless in Minnesota. They help youth under the age of 23 in the North Metro. This advocate told us many youth who wind up homeless begin that journey by running away from something bad happening at home.
I think the majority of what happens and what we see, and probably the biggest misconception, is that runaways are rebellious kids. They're kids that are in trouble with the law. They're kids that are not wanting rules at home. And actually that's not the case. What we see, the majority of youth that are running from home are running from bad situations. They're running from toxic situations.
Hope for Youth says if you want to be on the front lines of helping youth in situations like this, check out their website for ways to donate or get involved.